LakelandCarKeys.com. I'm currently sitting in a 2007 Hummer H2. This customer called me. They had another locksmith out here, and whatever happened, they ended up changing the ignition switch and couldn't get the vehicle started. And he called me asking about key programming, and I was pretty certain that this was an unchipped key. It didn't require key programming. But I explained to him a situation where I ran in previously with an aftermarket ignition switch. The ignition switch I brought came from AutoZone. This one he brought came from O'Reilly's. But on the ignition switch, there's a little magnet that completes the circuit coming from the engine computer. The engine computer has a certain resistance stored in it. And when you put the key in and turn the ignition cylinder, that magnet completes the circuit. So the circuit will come up through one wire, go through the ignition, and there's a little resistor pack down here that it activates the resistance and sends it back to the engine computer, and the engine computer allows the vehicle to start. On these aftermarket ignitions that are coming from the auto parts store, the little magnet area is almost half the width of the original. So I believe it's not creating a good contact to send the resistance back to the computer, and it prevents the vehicle from starting. Luckily, the customer still had their old ignition switch with the key, which I believe maybe the key is just getting worn, where on the ignition switch itself, this is what we call the sidebar. So right there on this ignition switch, the sidebar is already dropped down because this key is in the cylinder, and this is what allows it to turn. Once you pop this key out of the cylinder, see how the sidebar popped up a little bit? This is what stops the ignition from turning. So put the key in, that sidebar fell down flat. On the old ignition, the sidebar is falling down, but only on one side, which is either the wafers in the cylinder are worn or the key is too worn to allow it to completely drop off. So I'll see what the customer wants to do. They could go ahead and return this one to the parts store, and I could supply them with a good ignition switch, or try to make them a new key for this. But I just wanted to give a quick rundown. If anyone recently put a new ignition switch in a car and they can't get it to run, that is more than likely the problem. The magnet on these are just too thin. And here I just want to give you a little side-by-side comparison. The one on the left is the new auto parts magnet, and then the one on the right is the original. And as you can see, this is the magnet part I'm talking right here. Right there, you can see the width difference, and that is what is actually creating the no start issue. All right, thanks for watching. LakelandCarKeys.com.